true creepy encounters on dating apps. The digital world promised us connection, but sometimes it delivers pure terror. You scroll, you match, you meet, but what happens when the person on the other side of the screen isn't who they seem? These are the true, bone-chilling stories of dating app encounters that prove sometimes the scariest monsters are just a swipe away. Story 1: The Uninvited Guest. It started like any other match. You swipe right, they swipe right, and suddenly your phone buzzes with that little dopamine hit we all secretly crave. His profile picture was warm, inviting the kind of face you'd trust to hold your drink while you went to the restroom. His bio was just the right mix of humor and sincerity. For the first few days, the conversation was effortless. He asked about my favorite books, my weekend plans, and even sent me a playlist of songs that reminded him of me. It was fast, flattering, maybe a little too flattering. Our first date was casual coffee on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. He was charming, attentive, but every so often, I'd catch him staring just a bit too long, as if memorizing my face in a way that felt deliberate. I brushed it off. Everyone gets nervous on a first date, right? That night, I came home, kicked off my shoes, and was just about to unwind when my phone buzzed. It was him. Had a great time today. I'll see you soon. Sweet, I thought. But then another message followed. You should really lock your back door. My heart froze. I live alone. No one knew where I lived except I'd never actually told him my address. I ran to the back door. It was ajar. The streetlight from outside cast a pale glow into my kitchen, and just for a second, I thought I saw a shadow move across the glass. I slammed it shut, locked it, and grabbed my phone to call the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone. 4 weeks after, I couldn't sleep without checking every lock, every window, every shadow. It wasn't just the fear that he'd come back. It was the sick realization that he'd already been here. Sometimes, the person you match with doesn't just want to meet you, they want to own a piece of your life. And once they step through your door, you might never close it again. If you're still watching, stay with me. The next story is worse. But before you swipe to another video, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this with someone you care about, because their next match might already be watching them. Story to the obsessive match. Her name was Lily, or at least, that's what her profile said. Her pictures were radiant, her smile wide, but her eyes, there was something about her eyes that felt like they were looking through the camera. We matched, and immediately, she was intense. Every text was instant. Every reply came within seconds, as though she was just sitting there, waiting for me to breathe. At first, I told myself it was flattering, maybe she was just really into me. But then came the constant questions. Where are you right now? Who's that in the background? Why didn't you answer my call? I laughed it off, until one evening, I stepped out of my apartment building and froze. She was across the street smiling. We'd never exchanged addresses. I asked her how she found me. She just shrugged and said, it wasn't hard. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls, messages, even voicemails where I could hear her breathing. I blocked her, changed my number, moved apartments. But 2 months later, as I unpacked boxes in my new place, I found something wedged between the flaps of one. A small Polaroid, me sleeping in my old apartment. You can block a number, change your locks, even disappear from the map, but when someone decides you belong to them, they'll find you. If you're still here, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, because the last story will make you question every stranger you've ever trusted. Story 3: The Date That Never Ended. He was perfect on paper, funny, successful, a little sarcastic in a way that made me laugh. We met for dinner, and from the moment he walked in, it felt like we'd known each other for years. He insisted on walking me home afterward, and I didn't mind. But when we got to my building, he didn't just say goodbye. He followed me up the stairs. Inside my apartment, I offered him a drink, mostly to be polite. But as the minutes turned to hours, I realized he wasn't leaving. Every time I hinted at it, he'd changed the subject. Midnight passed. Then 2 a.m. My phone was in the other room. And when I tried to get up to grab something, he stepped in front of me. His smile never changed, but his eyes were cold. I don't remember how I convinced him to leave. I just remember locking the door the second he stepped out, then hearing the sound of footsteps in my hallway, slow, heavy, stopping right outside my door. 4 weeks after, I kept thinking, what if I hadn't gotten him out? What if I'd fallen asleep? What if the date never ended? When we meet someone from a dating app, we tell ourselves we're in control, that we can leave whenever we want. But the truth is, sometimes they decide when the night ends, and sometimes it never does. If you made it to the end, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your own creepy encounters in the comments. Because the scary stories are the ones that haven't been told yet. Story 4. My sleep paralysis demon showed me. I woke up, but I couldn't move. My eyes were open, but my body was frozen. And that's when I saw it standing in the corner of my room, watching me breathe. You've heard of sleep paralysis before, that strange state between being awake and dreaming. But no one tells you about the moment when the dream looks right back at you. It started a year ago. I'd been under a lot of stress, long nights at work, barely sleeping, constantly exhausted. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night, or at least, I thought I did. I could see my bedroom, the faint glow of the streetlight outside, the shadow of my chair against the wall. But I couldn't move, not a single muscle. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. That's when I felt it, the weight on my chest, like someone was kneeling on me. And then I saw it, a tall, shadowy figure at the end of my bed. It didn't move, it didn't speak, but somehow I knew it was smiling. After that night, I told myself it was a dream. But a week later, it happened again. Same darkness, same silence. Only this time, the figure was closer. I could feel its breath on my face, cold, slow, deliberate. And in the corner of my vision I saw its eyes, black, endless, like they were pulling me into something I didn't want to see. And then it showed me. In my mind, or maybe outside of it, I saw flashes, a burning house, a girl screaming for help, and then my own body, lying in bed, with the shadow standing over me. When I finally woke up, I was drenched in sweat. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would break my ribs. The final time it came, I knew it wasn't just a dream, because when I woke up, I found something on my pillow. A single black feather. I don't own a pillow with feathers. I don't even own anything black like that. Since then I haven't slept without the lights on, but sometimes even with the lights on, I feel it watching me. If you've ever experienced sleep paralysis, tell me what you saw, because maybe we've seen the same thing. And if you're watching this at night, don't turn off the lights. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Because the next time I sleep I might see something worse. Story 5. The thing at the end of my bed. What if the shadow at the end of your bed isn't your imagination, but something waiting for you to fall asleep? It began last winter. I'd moved into a small apartment in an old building, the kind with creaky floors and paper-thin walls. My bed was positioned so my feet faced the doorway, a mistake I didn't realize until later. One night, I woke up and felt that unnatural stillness. My body refused to move, my breath shallow. At the end of the bed, in the dim light from the hallway, stood a figure, tall, thin, its head tilted, as if studying me. At first, I thought it was a dream, but then it stepped closer. Its weight pressed into the mattress. I could feel the shift beneath my legs. It crawled up, slowly, like it had all the time in the world. Its face hovered above mine, a blur of darkness, with only two pale and blinking eyes staring into me. I could hear it breathing, slow, deliberate, almost tasting the fear rolling off me. Just when I thought it would speak, the room went black. My vision vanished, replaced by a roaring in my ears, and then nothing. When I woke, I was alone, but the blanket was pulled halfway down the bed, and on the sheet, right where my legs had been, were two deep impressions. Story 6. The man at the end of the hall. They say our minds play tricks on us when we're tired. But the man at the end of the hall wasn't a trick. He was real, and he was waiting for me. Into that old apartment building, because it was cheap and close to work. The hallway was long, dimly lit, and always seemed colder than the rest of the building. The first night, I noticed him, a tall man, standing perfectly still at the far end of the hall. He wasn't moving, wasn't saying anything, just staring. I blinked and he was gone. I told myself it was my imagination, maybe a shadow, maybe exhaustion, but every night, he was there. Always at the end, always in the same spot, and each night, he was closer. By the 7th night, I didn't have to walk to my door, he was standing right outside it. His face was pale, his eyes black, and when I finally dared to speak, he whispered my name. My stomach turned cold. I'd never told anyone here my name. Before I could react, the hallway lights flickered violently, plunging everything into darkness for a split second. When they came back on, he was gone. I scrambled into my apartment, slamming the door and locking every bolt. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then 3 slow knocks on my door. I froze. The peephole was foggy, but I could still make out a shape. He was right there, motionless, facing the door. I backed away, phone in hand, ready to call the police, when I heard his voice again, closer this time, almost against my ear. You shouldn't have moved in. The lights in my apartment went out, and in the darkness I swear I could hear him breathing.
Story 7.
The basement was darker than it should have been. No light reached down there. Just shelves of jars, bones, photos, symbols drawn on the walls in what looked like blood. And in the far corner, a child's bed, still made, still warm. A whisper behind me. Why did you come? I turned. No one. Then the walls began to creak, like the house was breathing. I ran up the stairs. The door slammed shut. I was trapped. And then I heard it again, the knock, but from inside the wall. I bashed through the drywall where the sound came from. Behind it was a hidden room, old toys, a mirror, and Lucy, but she wasn't a little girl anymore. Her eyes were hollow. She looked at me and said, "They all left me. You're staying now." I don't remember how I got out. All I remember is running. The door wasn't locked anymore. But as I reached the street, I looked back and saw her. In the window, smiling, like she let me go on purpose. It's been weeks. The house is still empty. But sometimes at night, I see the porch light flicker. And I hear the soft knock on my wall at the same time. 3:14 a.m. every night. And in my dreams, Lucy's waiting. So, were you really ready for what you just heard? 3 chilling stories, each one more terrifying than the last. Maybe now you'll think twice before walking past that mirror, opening that dusty basement door, or trusting the silence in your neighborhood, but trust me, this is just the beginning. If these stories gave you chills, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments which story creeped you out the most, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. It's darker, scarier, and more real than you could ever imagine. See you in the next nightmare.